Dan McMillan is the founder of Save Democracy in America, a nonprofit that focuses on big money in politics. So thank you for joining us, Dan, just the person we need to chat with about this. And I think a good number of our viewers can really think back to that political classic ad like Daisy Girl, right? You had Lyndon B. Johnson's attack ad, and it only ran once. And it just changed the game in 1964. So I wanted to look back and see what was the spending at that time. He spent $3 million on ads in the last months of his campaign, and now we're predicting $16 billion overall on political ads in 2024. Are we in a new era of political advertising?
We're in a dramatically new era. I mean, sort of the modern arms race in campaign fundraising and spending began at the end of the 1970s. There was a Supreme Court decision that took a lot of the restraints off. But the last 12 years, it's skyrocketed. The last three election cycles, 18, 20, and 2022, each shattered previous fundraising records. The cycle we're on, I have not seen projections, but I wouldn't be surprised if it topped 20 billion. And here they're projecting, 15, and actually the ad spending that they're projecting, if you include direct mail, it's over 17 billion, not just 16. And of course, campaigns spend tons of money on a lot of other things besides ads. But the bottom line here, I think we need to remember, is that fundraising is now the single most important thing that a politician does to get into office, to stay into office. They spend a lot more time and energy on that than they do really on doing their jobs. The average member of Congress is on the phone at least 30 hours a week dialing for dollars. And basically, they self-censor now to avoid alienating any potential source of campaign cash. And that means that almost any idea for addressing the country's problems is off the table. It sort of blocks us for every good idea there is to fix any of the country's many problems, there's going to be a group of donors who can block it. And the donors now don't even have to try. They don't have to say anything because no candidate's going to say anything that's going to alienate any donor.
But Dan, when we talk about a new era, one of the big unknowns in the future of political ads as they're spending all this money is artificial intelligence. We know some Democratic lawmakers have sought disclaimers at least on these ads, but there's a big question over misinformation here. So as people question the money behind this, does that stand to further erode trust in the system?
The artificial intelligence is yet another problem that we don't need. Social media has also done a lot of damage as well. So, and I think the money so far has, over time, dramatically undermined our faith in our political leaders, and for good reason, because office holders, candidates, they're not listening to us. They're listening to their donors. They're donors of their constituents. We stopped being their constituents a long time ago. And so even though most Americans don't necessarily know the connection between money and this problem, we've known for years that we are not being represented in Washington and that the problem has been getting worse and worse, which is why Americans have been getting more and more mistrustful. And now you throw artificial intelligence into the mix, you've got kind of a perfect storm.
So let me ask you, there have been legislative efforts to increase transparency in political finances. That's not broken through in the past. So has this swelled to a point of no return in your view?
No, actually, I think we are now, the hour has come when we really do have the ability to transform the system and turn this around. But no help is going to come from Washington. No politician of either party is going to lead on the money issue because they're too busy raising it. So it really is going to have to be we, the people, who stand up and change it. My organization, my sole focus is to build support among Americans on both sides of the aisle for a particular reform called voter dollars. But I think that more and more Americans see that the system, our political system, is breaking down in slow motion before our very eyes. I mean, we hit a new milestone of dysfunction every single week almost. And I think that the public is more than ready for change. And they're just looking for a concrete plan for change to take us there. And I think this reform that I and others around the country are fighting for is probably the best the missing plan for change that I think the people will rally to. But we haven't gotten the word out that much so far.
All right, Dan McMillan, founder of Save Democracy in America, thank you for your time and insight on this.